中止命令が出てるんだ。今すぐやめろ。わかったか。
ただいまの発言はこの工事への妨害行為と判断いたします。
Hey there, welcome back to another video. This time around, it is my review of the 1987 anime anthology film, Neo Tokyo. Now, before I get into sharing my thoughts on this anime, I want to give a shout out to a good friend of mine named Will for requesting this review. If there's an anime, a TV show, a film, or a topic you'd like to see me cover, feel free to donate to my PayPal. The link will be in the video description down below. Now, Neo Tokyo is an intriguing mix of different genres, different animators, different styles, and different directors. It's not your typical anthology, even for an anime, because it doesn't really follow a specific theme. It also doesn't tend to have that much continuity when it comes to the genres. There's some segments that are fantasy, there's other ones that are strictly sci-fi, so it's one of those things where it definitely doesn't fall into one box. It's one of those out of the box, strange, surreal bits of animation. But that's honestly one of the film's biggest selling points, is how surreal it is, and how different it is, and how unique the film is in terms of how it presents its story, and the various different tales throughout it. It also features some of the most stunning and visually vivid animation that I can think of. The second segment in this, Running Man, is honestly one of my favorite bits of animation. I love so many things about that segment. So, each of these three segments are animated, and they are directed by Rintaro, who directs the first one, Labyrinth, Labyrinthos, Yoshiaki Kawajiri, who directs Running Man, and Katsuhiro Ōtomo, who directs the third segment, Construction, Cancellation, Order. The three directors also wrote all of the segments that they directed. I checked out the English dub, which I actually think is one of the better English dubs out there. There's some really high quality voiceover work in this particular film, and it definitely is one of those examples that you can point out to people who think that dubs are really bad and normally don't have that much thought put into them or care. This is one of those you can point out to people who are questioning the authenticity or the need for an English dub of an anime. And it's only like 50 minutes, so it goes by at a pretty quick pace. I don't really feel it needed to be any longer. I feel that its status as a short anthology is actually something that works quite well for it. If it was any longer and there was like another story or two, that might have been detrimental to the film instead of really helping it that much. So each of these segments features a combination of different music. So you have original music by Miki Yoshino, and then you have a lot of classical music. So you have the first of Eric Satie's Gymno Pades, the Toreador song from Carmen, and Morning Wood, by Edvard Griegs from Peer Gynt, which is featured in the construction cancellation order segment. Labyrinth features Eric Sadie's, Guy Mono, Petty's, and the Toreador song. And sorry for butchering those names. I don't know how to pronounce French or anything like that. But I really like Eric Satie's piece that's featured in this film. I had heard it before in something else, but I'm really having a hard time placing where I heard it before. But I did hear it before in another film. So hearing it here just reminded me of how much I really love that bit of classical music. And those classical pieces all fit really well with the film and with what they were trying to go for when it comes to the atmosphere, the mood, and the subtext or the setting of each segment. So the first segment is Labyrinth, Labyrinthos, and it centers around Sachi, this girl who winds up in this game of hide and seek with her cat, and the cat somehow winds up behind this clock, and the doorway into the clock is also a doorway into some strange new land. So Sachi goes to go after her cat and then winds up in this really surreal, nightmarish world that is very well illustrated here. Some really amazing bits of animation, and overall, I just really like the creativity that's on display here. You got a skeleton train, which is honestly one of my favorite scenes in this first segment. You've got people who have like clocks on the back of their heads, and cardboard people, and invisible dogs, and it's one of those things where they're just throwing a bunch of random stuff around. There's like there's a clown. None of it really makes any sense, to be honest. But it's nice to look at. It definitely is nice to look at. The second segment is Running Man, and this deals with this guy named Zach, who is this undefeated champion of this Death Circus racing circuit, and he's been racing for like 10 years, and he's been this like really, really good racer for the majority of his career. And there's this guy who's a private detective who's sent in to interview him and try to figure out what's going on with this guy. He then discovers that he's got telekinetic abilities, and the story is interconnected in a weird way. It's kind of confusing at first because it seems like flashbacks are happening in real time, but they're not. And so what happens is Zach just completely loses it one day while he's racing, and decides to just keep racing even though his life functions are failing. And he just keeps going and going and going and starts hallucinating things, and his telekinetic abilities start going haywire and cause other racers on the track to explode. And he starts seeing ghost racers, and I know it sounds like, what? Like, really, that it is one of those segments where it doesn't make that much sense. I gotta be honest. But it works because of the strength of the visuals. I absolutely admire and appreciate the hell out of the animation in this segment. And I was first introduced to bits of this segment on MTV's Liquid Television. I didn't see it when it initially aired. I saw Liquid Television later on when I discovered it through a VHS that I got from a guy on Craigslist. I went to his place. He had a bunch of different VHS tapes, and he had a tape that he recorded a ton of Liquid Television stuff on. And I had never even heard of that. I was like, what the hell is Liquid Television? and I got it, and then I watched it late one night, and I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of really creative, fun, quirky, insane bits of animation, and that was my first introduction to this short. There was a music video or an edit that featured scenes from this short, from this segment in Neo Tokyo, and I'd never seen the entire segment until this most recent viewing of Neo Tokyo. So it was just really cool to see the segment that I remember so fondly when I because it really did. It was such a striking thing. Like when I saw it on that VHS on an episode of Liquid Television, it immediately caught my eye. And I'm pretty sure it did that for anyone who caught it live. I actually do feel that Liquid Television is probably responsible for a lot of Americans' first exposure to anime through sequences and clips from the segment Running Man. But yeah, I cannot recommend this segment enough. It is just awesome. It's violent. The world that it creates is futuristic and just super cool, and I just love the designs of the race cars, and just it's just something that I could easily watch over and over again and never get tired of it. It's a work of art. It's amazing. Even though it doesn't make the most sense, it makes up for it with the visuals and the overall impact of them. The third segment is Construction Cancellation Order. This takes place in some fictional South American country, and it's another one of those stories that's trying to warn people of the dangers of technology. Like, we need to be careful. We need to make sure we don't rely on technology too much and have them do everything for us, because then we can have a future like this that's way too over reliant upon robots and machines, and if they go haywire or if they start to malfunction in any way, we're in trouble. So this one focuses on this guy named Tsusumu, and he's sent by this company to go to this country in the Aloana Republic. Actually, it's not a country. He's sent to this construction facility 444. The company's losing millions of dollars because the robots aren't working properly. They're considering the demands and the commands that they've been given of to ensure production and to ensure the success of the mission. They are taking way too many risks, and they are just cutting way too many corners, to the point where it's causing tons of manpower and machines to break down, because you have the head of the machine order that's essentially saying, finish this job no matter the cost. And Tsutomu really runs into a lot of this. He starts working with this robot who identifies himself as 4441. But 4441 is very stubborn, and eventually things come to a head where Tsutomu, he's had enough of this, because he's ultimately become a prisoner to these robots, and he retaliates and beats up 4441 because he's tired of him disobeying him and tired of him not listening to him. And then he goes on to search for whoever is in charge of all of the robots, and he jumps on this I think it's like a tube or something, or a piece of wiring, and he's going to follow it all the way to the head of the robots and destroy them once and for all and stop this project. But there is something that pops up on a TV screen in a room that he was in that he missed, that features his company saying that the project's back. The project's back online. Stop what you're doing. But he's become so obsessed with this idea of stopping these robots and stopping this mission that he didn't really care. And he didn't hear it either, but I don't think he really would have cared. He's so focused now on his mission to prove that man can overcome machine. So, yeah, I mean, it is your typical technology is bad kind of story, but it's got some really good animation, and I like the look of the robots. I like the various different types of robots that this segment has. I would say it's not one of my favorite bits of animation or anime segments that I've seen, but it's still solid enough. And then the Labyrinth segment comes back again after Running Man and Construction Cancellation Order, and you get some more crazy, trippy, and honestly really beautiful visuals with like fireworks and all kinds of stuff. And then it just ends. It doesn't even seem like the girl and her cat even escape from this world. It seems like they're trapped. And okay, is that really a good thing? It almost seems like a dark ending. Like you have all these fireworks and stuff and a circus, and it's beautiful, and the kid and the cat are admiring it and they're happy, and then the last shot of the film is this stone head like closing its mouth and essentially locking them in this world for the rest of eternity. So it's kind of like that's honestly kind of messed up. I think that sends a mixed message, that's for sure. But maybe that's the message that they were trying to go for. I mean, I don't really know what to say about Labyrinthos anyway, because I doesn't make any sense. It's just this girl and her cat go into this clock, wind up into this crazy, weird, wild, wonderful world, and they're now trapped in it because there's never a scene that shows them escaping back into reality. So maybe that represents what this short film is supposed to be, an escape from reality. Maybe that's what it is. Or maybe it's supposed to say there's no escape from reality. Even if your idea of reality is this fantasy world, at the end of the day, there's still no escape. Doesn't matter what your idea of reality is. There's no escape from it. But yeah, I would recommend Neo Tokyo. Features some really good direction and writing by Rintaro, Yoshiaki, and Katsuhiro, and some really nice cinematography by Kinshi Ishikawa. Excellent editing by Hataroshi Ogata. And I just love the creativity that's on display with this short film when it comes to the different kinds of animation and how they move and how it flows and how scenes transition from one to another, and how cinematic a lot of them are, with shots that are overhead or from down below and from an angle. And it's just a really wonderful, terrific treat when it comes to animation, and specifically Japanese animation. I hope this does get another release, because it would be a shame if this is just stuck on an out-of-print expensive DVD. I hope this gets a remaster in like 4K, and gets a Blu-ray release. And I might have mentioned that already, but if I have, forgive me, but regardless, I think it deserves to be mentioned again because this should be more widely available, because it does feature some really impressive and incredible animation. Anyway, thank you for watching my review of Neo Tokyo, and as always, I'll see you later. See ya.